Howdy and welcome back to Celebrating Vintage Model Kits. Next up is an early Fujimi kit from 1962. This is their issue of a Nakajima Ki-44 Shoki. This is part of their 100 series, kit number 5. It is in 1/70th scale. I don't believe it says anywhere on the box that that's what it is, but that's what it measures out to, and that's actually a scale that Fujimi made a lot of their early kits in. So this kit came out in 1962. Fujimi originally started out as a wood ship manufacturer in 1948. They're known as Fujimi Moke Company Limited. They're in Shizuoka City, which is the same city that Tamiya, Hasegawa, and Aoshima are also located. So it's kind of a hub of Japanese model making. So they initially, were making wood ship models. In 1961, they branched out into plastic. They made the 1/70 scale series and also 1/50th scale airplanes. They made warships in 1/550 scale and tanks armor in 1/44th scale. In 1970, they switched to a standardized scaling that the rest of the industry had kind of moved to, with 1/72nd and 1/48 for aircraft, 1/700 for ships, and 1/76 scale, which is HO, similar to the Airfix kits for their armor. They also are very popular for their cars, making a whole line of sports cars, race cars. They make those in 1/20th and 1/24 scale. In 1988, they acquired Nito when Nito went bankrupt and took over their molds. And they were imported into the U.S. In the early days. UPC, Universal Power Master Corporation, first brought them in the early to mid-60s. Mainly they stuck with the 1/70th scale aircraft. AHM, Associated Hobby Manufacturers, took over in the late 60s, and then Bachmann in 1970, and then finally Testers brought in some of their kits in the mid-80s. So the Nakajima Ki-44 is kind of an not as well-known Japanese Army fighter. The Shoki, which is Japanese for Devil Queller, was officially known as the Army Type 2 single-seat fighter. The Allied code name for it was Tojo, and as you can see, the original kit owner of this wrote Tojo across the top of the box here. So the development began originally in 1940. It was designed to be a pure interceptor, emphasizing speed and climb rate. It was developed in parallel with the Ki-43, the Hayabusa, but with very different goals in mind. The Hayabusa was to be basically a dogfighter, with the ultimate maneuverability, lightweight, but the Shoki was to be a fast-climbing, heavy-hitting interceptor. So it was armed with initially with 4 12.7 machine guns. Later on was 2 12.7 machine guns and 2 20 millimeters. And there was a few that were equipped with the 2 12.7s and 2 40 millimeter cannons. Those were deployed against the B-29s that by June of 1944 were attacking Japan. So the 40 millimeter cannons were effective at trying to hit the B-29s, which you can kind of see in this box art here as being shown. The 40 millimeter guns had an extremely low muzzle velocity, so they had to get in really tight in order to be able to hit the B-29s. And very limited amount of ammunition, and some of those units that were deployed that way would then try to ram the B-29s. So for quite a while, these were the only ones that could get up to try to intercept the B-29s. So the first flight was in August of 1940. Ultimately, they equipped 12 Sentai. Their first action was in Saigon in December of 41, and ultimately they began to be replaced by the Ki-84 in late 1944. The total of 1,225 built. Post-war use was done by the Chinese in their Civil War, and some of them were still being flown as late as the early 50s. And as far as today, there are no current survivors. There are some hulks, some parts of Ki-44s, but no complete aircraft is in existence anymore. So let's take a look a little bit more at the kit. So you've got the Fujimi and the Fujimi Mokai Company Limited, the 100 series, number 5, and so I think that's probably what this is saying here, because there's a 100 there again. This would be the Ki-44. This is probably Shoki in Japanese. And then we've got on the side, repeat of the top box art, similar information. This side, duplicate again. The end, similar information. Same thing on this side. So this is kind of a cheaper box, very lightweight with it printed directly on it, and the ends are stapled. Kind of typical of what you see of a lot of Japanese boxes at that time. Same thing with the bottom's folded box with staples holding it together. So here we have the instruction sheet, duplicating basically the exact cover right here. On the back, we got a 3 view and showing where all the parts are going, it looks like. Unfortunately, I don't read Japanese, but I'm guessing since it's listing the guns and number built, that this is probably information about the Ki-44. And here's some of the other aircraft that were part of that first release from Fujimi. 1, 2, and 3 are all zeros, A6Ms. So you got the Type 21, Type 32, and the Type 54. And then down on this side, you've got number 4 and 6. Number 4 is a Ki-43, and number 6 is the Ki-61. So you've got, looks like maybe a parts call out. You've got an exploded view of the kit. Quite a lot of parts for a small kit. And this looks like probably some specifications. And then this looks like the actual assembly instructions. Fortunately, there were no decals with this kit. So looking at the box art, it looks like all there is the red rising suns or meatballs, and there's no squadron markings or anything on here, so not missing much probably on the decals. So let's take a look at the kit itself. So we've got a fairly simple look. Got space here for one of the decals. Very heavy rivet, raised panel lines. Not much for demarcation of the tail. Got the tail wheel just sticking straight out there. Looks like the pilot seat just molded into it. Here's the other half. Similar again. See what this kind of fit looks like. So it looks like there's only one locator pin on this. There you go. So interesting, the tail wheel, halves of the tail wheel are on each half of the fuselage. That's a very crude style. Now the exhaust does have holes on it, so you can probably cut them out a little bit better. So that's your fuselage. Here's your engine cowling. This is a very tightly cowled engine, and with the spinner on it, so you really wouldn't see all that much of the engine anyway, but there is zero representation of an engine in there. You do have a hole there, it doesn't go through for, looks like carburetor intake, and then you've got a couple notches for where the cowl guns would be. Got a very simple cowling. And we've got some wings. So we've got the lower half is molded in one piece. Again, similar heavy rivet, raised lines. Just kind of a line, outline representing the butterfly flaps. You have the molded on bomb shackle mountings. And cannons are molded in here as well. And here's the top half of the wing. Other half of the cannons on the top half. And again, you've got the spot for the markings. Very simple, not much detail inside the wheel well. In fact, there's none. So this is a piece of tape there. Okay. So fairly thick trailing edge, kind of. But you do have separate ailerons, which is nice. Little tabs for the butterfly flaps. So your cannons are represented by top and bottom parts on the wing, and they do come together. Okay, so there's your wings. Here's your propeller. Pretty simple. It's got the boss for the huck starter that the Japanese seem to be very fond of. And then we've got one tree in here, which includes the tail, horizontal tail surfaces. Not much detail to those. Do have trim tabs on them, and looks like, I think these are like pitot tubes. Got the gear door. One's fallen off. This looks like a air scoop, probably for the oil cooler. These look like the gear legs, maybe, or the actuator struts. And you've got some bombs. Your wheels, very simple. Or no, those aren't bombs. Those look like long-range tanks. And then you get your space alien pilot. And what else we got? Oh, and we got our canopy. It's actually not too bad. It's not the clearest of plastic, but it does have some framing, except the framing is on the inside. Yeah. So it's got the lines for it, but you're going to have to use a very steady hand to paint those. But pretty decent shape. Not that there's much to see in this kit's interior in this scale. So that's about it. Not much to this kit, but interesting to see what the Japanese kit started out. We've seen an early Tamiya kit, kind of similar to this. It's amazing, you know, what they started from and the quality that they're producing nowadays. So this kit was reissued quite a number of times. Fujimi issued it themselves, again in '63 with a new artwork. There's another '63 issue that's called the Metallic series, and I'm wondering if it was chrome plated or metallic plated plastic, because it's kind of the same time frame as when Hawk was making some of those metallic plated kits as well. So that may be what that metallic series is. It had different artwork on the box that it looks a little bit like it might be bare metal, you know, that they're trying to represent in the artwork. But if anybody's got one of those, you know, let us know if that metallic series, if it really is plated. The first UPC issue was in '66, again with some new artwork. '67, Fujimi came out with another issue with another artwork. AHM did their first issue in '68. That one says 72nd scale on the box, when it's actually the 1/70th. Sometime in the '60s, a Canadian company called Air Flash also did some issues of these Fujimi kits. They were utilizing the '63 box art from Fujimi, so it may have been an early '63 release or import into Canada. It has you know, both English and French writing on these stickers that kind of cover the Japanese writing on that '63 box. Fujimi did another issue in 1970 with 1/72 listed on the box now. Bachman's issue was in 1971, also with 1/72. And then sometime during the '70s, another Japanese company called Shizuoka Hobby issued this whole series of 1/70th scale Japanese fighters. They boxed them saying 1/72 as well. I believe that these were probably purchased, you know, by the Shizuoka hobby maker, as Fujimi had come up with new molds for all these fighters in actual 1/72 scale by this time. So that's the end of it. You don't see any more issues of this. Being in an odd scale like this, its days were kind of numbered once everyone kind of, you know, went to standardized scaling. So that's it. If you've built one of these, let us know about it in the comments section and tell us what you think about it, especially if you've had any contact with that metallic series one. I'd like to hear about that. And if you got any of these built in your collection, you know, shoot some pictures of it, send it in for the next viewer build video. The email address is in the channel description. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and have yourself a great rest of your day.